Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hyperconscious Podcast. Alan, what is hyperconscious?
Once you understand why something is the way that it is, now you have the power to change it. Great conversations with great people and great questions are the keys to the kingdom of unlocking your consciousness.
Every single action that you do starts as a thought. When you control the way you think, you will control the way you act, and you will control the way you live. That is hyperconscious. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hyperconscious Podcast is proudly sponsored by our friend and mentor, David Meltzer of the Playbook Podcast. He was kind enough to join us on episode 144 and 135.
Folks, it has become Kevin and I's mission in life to help you realize that the life of your dreams is right on the other side of you becoming the greatest version of yourself. Let us help you do that.
I rarely do these things twice in such a short amount of time, but you guys impress me. I believe in people that provide value and of our service. You two guys are on your way to huge fulfillment, purpose, and profitability, and I look forward to helping you both.
We appreciate that more than you know. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode where for Thanksgiving, we talked about what we were thankful for.
Oh, yeah.
Today, for episode number 257, we are going to talk about overcoming... What are we talking about?
Overcoming discouragement.
Overcoming discouragement.
Which I think is a powerful episode because earlier today we were on a call with our coach and mentor, David Meltzer, and Kevin and I had extremely deep talks. You want to talk about the proverbial mirror where we have to really look at ourselves when it comes to arrogance and self-doubt.
Slide that ass over a little bit.
Me or you? Move on over.
There we go.
So we talk a lot on this podcast about what those gut check moments are like when you fail or when you learn something about yourself that you didn't know before, when you become acutely aware, hyperconscious,
some would say,
of something that's less than ideal, the shades of gray, the darker sides of success, personal development, and of self. This is a very fitting episode because we did a lot of that today.
Yeah, we did. It's I don't know where I came up with this. I saw something, I think on TV or maybe somebody posted about discouragement, and I was like, that'd be a really good thing to talk about because we talk about fear chasing, we talk about getting out of your comfort zone, but what happens, I feel like discouragement can be like a hangover after a fear chase or after you attempt something, and sometimes discouragement is the feedback you get.
Oh, yeah.
That is your reflection upon that feedback. So we were saying this before we did this episode. I think action is the cure-all.
Right.
No matter where you are, if you have self-doubts, you need to take action. If you have unbelievable self-belief, you still need to take action. No matter where you are in terms of confidence or self-esteem or any of that. If you're insecure, you need to take action to prove that your insecurities aren't in charge of you. But the problem is the feedback you get hurts sometimes. Now, what do you do with that feedback?
Right.
Especially if it's discouragement. Do you say, oh, wow, that really hurt me. I'm never going to do that again because I don't want to feel that again? Do you assume it'll go better next time? Do you prepare so it'll go better next time? Like, what are the steps that you need to take to avoid having that discouragement again?
So here's a cool way to frame this. So imagine you're out there right now and you go and try something and you have a friend that's super encouraging. They come up to you and say, great job, regardless of the outcome. Even they're just glad you tried. Mm-hmm. Like we do that with our team. We actually have a competition for who can get the most rejected. Like Amy reached out to Ellen, right? I don't even care if we get on Ellen. I love that she tried.
Right.
So I encouraged her. Here's the thing. That's a friend encouraging you or a teammate or a colleague. What are you doing to you?
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting way to frame it. If you had a friend who always discouraged you after you failed, how long would you be friends with that person? What if you're doing that to you? So one of the questions I wanted to ask Kevin, just first and foremost, totally upfront and honest, I have moments of discouragement for sure, but I don't think that I live there quite as often as him. So I told him before this episode that I wanted to ask him some questions. So I think a lot of people struggle with being consistently discouraged and beating themselves up. And I don't know if I struggle with that as much. I think I have to look at my failures to get awareness. And I think that you need to look at wins maybe more.
For sure.
So how do you, I guess the first question is, how often do you feel discouraged?
Interesting. Daily?
Daily.
Yeah, probably daily.
Can you give me an example?
After the call with Dave, I felt discouraged.
Okay.
For sure. 100%.
I kind of got excited.
Right.
Not because it wasn't hard, but because I know we're about to grow.
Yeah.
So how do we start to, I guess, what's an example where you don't get discouraged so that we can figure this out?
Let's see.
That call was brutal.
It was tough. It was tough. So I think it's interesting. After the movement family, I don't think I was that discouraged because I didn't prep. So I know that wasn't a normal result. That was my own
But
fault.
we didn't prep well enough for the Dave call today either.
But that's not why I was discouraged.
Let's figure out.
I was discouraged because of what he said on the phone. So he basically said Alan and I were thinking far too short term and we're very focused on the micro where we should really be focused on the macro. And that's where most people lose. They focus on what am I doing? Like, what are the struggles today?
What am I getting now?
Right.
No, what we're doing now, we should focus on.
Right.
But what are we
Right.
getting
What are we
now
getting?
is short term.
And just getting off that call, it was like I had to really figure out like what insecurities. It's hard, man, because I'm really good at helping other people believe in themselves.
Right.
But when there's nobody there and I have to do stuff by myself, sometimes it's difficult. Like we were talking about making calls to colleges. I don't have any sales proof. I don't have any competence in my opinion.
So if someone's a listener and they're in this place where they feel discouraged and they know they have to step up and do something new, what would you recommend they do?
So exactly what I'm going to do. And what you said, what are the 3 things that scare you most about for us? We want to get more speeches.
Right.
What do you have to do to get more speeches? You have to prospect.
Right.
How do you prospect? You get a name or a list of names, numbers, emails, and you start hitting the streets. Okay? I've sent emails, but the one thing I'm afraid of doing is calling because I've never cold called anybody in my entire life for anything.
Right.
And now our brand's at stake. Now there's possible relationships at stake, and the schools are at stake, and there's money at stake. So that's the thing that scares me the most. And for me, it's like, okay, where are you right now? Do you like where you're at? Check yes, check no. No, I don't. Okay, what could I do to leverage or to feel better about where I am? Email, call, boom, boom, boom. Which one of these are you doing? None of them. Why?
Right.
Because I'm afraid.
Right.
How do we get unafraid? I don't know that you do. I think you have to figure out that nothing will change unless I change my actions.
Right.
And understand that it's fine. It's okay to be afraid.
Yeah.
It's okay to be afraid. You're going to be afraid at first. So number 1, get around somebody who believes in you.
Right.
Right? Alan and I are going to do a couple calls together so I can see like, oh, what do I expect? What does Alan say? Whatever to build up my competence.
Right.
To build up my proof.
I think build up your confidence as well. Because if you see me fall on my face and be okay with it, that will also make you realize that you're not the worst.
Or you suck.
Right.
I'll be like, oh, he really sucks at this.
Oh, he's
now
terrible.
we're really in trouble.
Now exactly. Hopefully that doesn't
But I think that it's easy to be discouraged and then not take action after. I think you have to understand, and this is me coaching myself in this moment as much as it is talking to you guys as well, but understand that every single day you do things that scared you a lot at one point. We were talking about that earlier.
Right.
This used to scare me.
Right.
Podcasting used to scare me. It doesn't scare me. Sometimes guests do, depending on who the guest is. Mm-hmm. But the solo episodes, I do not worry about at all. Not even a little bit.
Right.
Not even a little bit. So
what changed? Exposure therapy.
Yeah, and reps. 256.
Right.
256. It took me 150 to feel good.
Well, we need to have you make 150
I know.
calls.
I know. But then it's the rejection thing, too. It's like rejection is discouraging.
Right.
Because especially if you attach that to your self-worth.
Yeah.
Which is something that I'm sure I do.
So if you make a call and it doesn't go well, the default should be I'm not good at making calls yet.
Right.
It shouldn't be I suck.
Right.
Like Kevin. Like, no, Kevin's not bad. Kevin just never did this before.
Right.
He's never had sales training. You know what I mean? It's all our head.
It really, the way you frame it is, you can be discouraged or you can be motivated. Now, is it that easy? No, probably not. But it's okay to be discouraged, but you can't stop it from, you can't create like a block there where you're not going to take action.
Right. Because if you did 5 calls and got 5 failures and then never made another call,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be a successful speaker.
Right.
Right. And then when you do hire a team, unless you hire the best salesperson ever, which you probably can't do because you don't have the money to do it because
Right.
you never made the calls,
Right.
then you're going to have to teach someone how to sell when you've never done it. So it's like the confidence conundrum that you talk about.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if this is true, but I think it is, and not in every arena. But I actually get inspired by failure and by pain. Like I get more motivated when I lose than when I win. And I think that's a cheat code because let's say we got on that call and I completely messed it up. I'm going to be like, oh my God, I don't like being bad at stuff. I need to get really good at this. And I just lit up just even saying it. Just the idea of getting good at something makes me so pumped. So like for me, I don't know how to make that part of you or anyone else, but I do know that there's a way to process information where it doesn't discourage you, it actually encourages you.
See, you're motivated by failure, I'm motivated by fear. And that's the problem. The problem is, like Dave was talking about, fear and how it'll make you...
Right.
It'll
make you shell up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or you'll take action, but it's not sustainable.
That's why I wanted to do the rejection competition with the team, because I wanted them to reassociate failure with a positive encouragement. We're literally encouraging failure.
Yeah.
Because I know that will change their association with it. This is what I try to do with my clients. They're so afraid of the scale and they're so afraid of food. I teach them that by eating food, they can actually get closer to their goals, not farther from it. So eventually they start to associate positive emotions with food. I'm just trying to get people to associate positive emotions with failure. Because it's every failed experiment is one step closer to getting better, which is one step closer to success. And I don't pretend to have all the answers, and I'll probably fail more than most. But the point is, on the long run, I'm always winning because I'm always getting better because I'm always willing to keep failing.
Yeah, yeah. I think the thing is, like, you might be listening to this right now, and you might say, at least you are chasing your dreams. Like, at least you're living your passion. At least you are a speaker. You are a podcast. You are a coach. You may be listening or watching this and you might be discouraged because you haven't found your thing yet.
Right.
Now, there's 2 things that can happen. You stay discouraged and you don't search for answers anymore.
Right.
And I think that's how I feel better. So Alan and I literally talked for 2.5 hours about deep stuff.
Yeah.
Deep-seated things, why we're wired the way we are, and figuring out, like, usually I'll revert to lack of confidence, lack of belief, right? And not doing what scares me when I'm alone. It's harder for me to do stuff that scares me when I'm alone. But if you put me in a room with somebody who needs my leadership, I'll do it.
Right.
Or somebody who's leading and I have to follow to stay there, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I just need to borrow belief. So maybe you need to borrow belief. Maybe you need to borrow clarity. Maybe you need to borrow momentum. You probably need to borrow something because you might not believe that you can do it on your own because you've tried and you failed and now you're discouraged. And if you're afraid to try, you'll never get feedback again, which means you'll never get information to change and then go at it again. One of the quotes I like to say is, what do I say? Like, how do I frame it? Okay, if I set you in this room and had 10-foot walls and you had an hour to build a ladder and get your way out.
Right.
And find your way out. Versus if I put you in the room and said you have as long as you need to. It might actually be worse if I put you in there for as long as you need to, because you might try 100 times and get discouraged.
Okay.
Where, like, and that's not usually what I say, but I want people to understand that you might get out on the 3rd time with an hour because there's a necessity, or you might get stuck in there for a day and then never try again because you're so discouraged. All that extra time and energy, if you're not using it...
There's a 3rd option.
Go ahead.
The 3rd option is the person who knows they'll get out will never stop trying and will find 8,000 other ways not to do it.
Yeah.
And those not to do it will lead to the better way to do it.
Yeah, well,
that's innovation over time.
That's the thing. They don't get discouraged.
Because of the belief.
They just check off, that doesn't work, that doesn't work,
Exactly.
that doesn't work.
And so maybe I don't work. Like they're saying, well, I can't get out of
Right,
here.
right,
Right. Versus
right.
someone who knows they can get out, they just haven't yet.
And even like take away the time, take away all of that.
Right.
Are you the type of person who would keep trying? Or are you the person who would try 5 times and say, I can't do it?
Exactly. Needing to know that about yourself. Like Thomas
Yeah.
Edison with the light bulb.
Right.
10,000 or 1,000 experiments
Right.
led to the light bulb. I know myself. Know thyself. That's what hyperconscious means. Like be acutely aware of yourself. I am like that. It is irrelevant how many times it takes me, as long as I know I want it. For you, maybe it's not that way. So you have to approach things differently.
Yeah.
One of my least favorite things about the personal development industry is that everyone has this one size fits all approach to like the way it should be. It's not true. It depends on you. It always depends on who you are.
That's why like most of my speeches are catered to people who lack confidence.
Right.
I want people to know like it's not just as easy as go do it.
Right.
I
Even though people with confidence will tell you that.
Yeah, and I
Right.
understand.
Like Gary Vee will just say, you're just being soft.
Yeah.
It's like, but Gary has undying self-belief.
Right.
Right.
You're not if you're watching or listening, you're probably not being soft. If you can lay your head down at the end of the night and say I'm giving the hardest, honest effort I can, then you're not being soft. You're probably scared.
Right.
You're probably scared. People who aren't scared of failure, it's not a challenge. Of
Right.
course, you still have to put in the reps and you still have to innovate and learn, but like, I'm afraid of failing almost more than anything.
Right.
And I still go out there and do it. That's why I prep. But when I don't know how to prep, then I'm stuck.
Well, the only way to figure out how to prep is to go fail, in my opinion.
Or ask somebody who succeeded.
Right.
That's usually what I try to do.
Oh.
That's
okay.
what I
And
try
that's
to
why
do.
you feel afraid alone.
Sometimes.
Whereas I'll do it alone, screw it up to figure out how to do it. You'll just wait until you have the opportunity to meet the person.
Probably, yeah.
Which is why on these calls we're trying to get the answers
Right.
in the micro for someone who's macro oriented.
Right.
It's interesting.
Yeah, with Dave.
Super interesting.
With Dave. I think any part, like any episode we do, any topic we talk about, any guest we have on, if you understand yourself at a deeper level, it's going to be far more valuable to you.
Because you'll take the parts that are relevant,
Right.
that will help you, and eliminate the stuff that's like, wait, that...
It's like a code. If then, or
Right.
if this, then that.
Right.
If I'm self-conscious, then this is what I do in that moment. So this episode is basically if you find yourself feeling discouraged a lot, maybe it's about your fitness goals, maybe it's about your body, your bank account, your relationship, your career, your dream chasing, whatever it is. If you're discouraged about something, what are you doing about it? Are you allowing that discouragement to halt your action? If you are, where is that discouragement going to go? It's not going to go anywhere.
So the things they can do about it are ask for help,
Yes.
go do personal development. So like take a course. Like if you're struggling with sales, why not read a book on sales?
Yeah.
That'll help.
Start small.
Right.
Start small. If you're afraid of the phone, start calling your friends.
Right.
Like
training
start-
wheels.
Yeah. Start small.
100%. What's something else they can do? Find someone who believes in them.
Definitely that.
Fear chase. Oh, you had a good one. When you went to the mall with Amy, you had to step up for her.
Yeah.
Do it for her.
Sign yourself up for something.
Right. So it's not only get around people who believe in you, get around people you believe in who also want the same thing.
Yeah. And another thing too, I actually had a friend ask me this today. She said, when you're really in a low place and like you're discouraged and you're struggling, what do you do? And I said, I always seek perspective. I look back into my past of the good times and the bad times. I always do that. I did that. I woke up at 2:30 this morning. I couldn't fall back asleep, so I went through my old pictures on Instagram and my old screenshots of people that we saved. Like remember how we'd save people's profiles and say, hey, we should reach out to them. Josh Munoz,
Right.
I saw that. Remember we had him on episode 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever. No, it was 20 something. But like that was so long ago. But for me, it's fine perspective because the thing is, you probably. Let's put it this way. I'll use me as an example because I know myself better than I know anybody else. I am afraid, and I'm going to be open and honest and transparent with you guys. I am afraid of making cold calls to colleges for speeches.
Right.
Okay? Couple things I can do. Kevin, you suck because you're afraid of this. Right? That could be it. I'm very down. I'm discouraged because I'm afraid to do it.
Okay.
Or I could realize that 2 years ago, I didn't even have the chance to make calls to get paid to talk to students at college.
Right.
right? The first time I ever went to a college, I got paid for it.
Yeah.
That's a totally new reframe. Where it's
huge.
like
First time you've ever been to a college, you got paid for it.
yeah,
Ever. Well, yeah.
I did work at actually.
As
I
a
think
foreman.
every time I've been to college, I've been paid. Every time, every
Right.
time.
Which is the opposite of everyone else.
Right. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Right.
But for you, you have to figure that out.
So one of them is I suck because I'm afraid.
One of them
That's
is I suck because I'm not taking action, and you're going to be stuck.
Stuck. That's the confidence conundrum.
Yeah, you're going to be stuck.
Second one is I'm blessed that I get to take this action.
The action that I'm discouraged about at one point was not even possible.
Right.
It was so far-fetched that I would have killed for this problem. Imagine that.
Right.
I created a list of 70 colleges,
Right.
and I have their phone numbers, and all I have to do is call them, and I have a chance to make thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
If you told me that 3 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, that's amazing. Sign me up.
Right.
But it's that reframe. It's
Right.
It's
Perspective.
I'm discouraged because my relationship isn't going well, but I'm not willing to have the tough conversation I know I need to have. But remember, this relationship, how bad did you want this relationship 2 months in?
Right.
You would have done anything.
You'd have
done anything. Why aren't you willing to do it now?
Wow.
And I think discouragement, it sticks. It's like discouragement is a shade of paint.
Because it's emotional, not logical.
Well, you go do something and you take that. Now I'm painted red. I'm painted red because I'm discouraged because I failed.
Right.
Put a new coat of paint on, or it's going to stay there.
Right.
Maybe it'll fade away, but it's never going to change colors by itself.
Well, you said you're very encouraged in your relationship.
Very.
So what's the difference between that and cold calling?
I have proof. I
Right.
feel like I'm in control.
Yeah.
I have a partner. Never alone in a relationship.
Right.
Ever. If you're alone in a
Ooh.
relationship, you're not going to succeed.
Have you asked Taryn for help in your fears?
Not in that one, no. Because I think
bet
she's
you she would encourage the hell out of you.
Oh, she would for
she
sure.
would say like you're amazing.
I
What
know.
do you mean?
I know, but I would say you hop on the phone and show me.
Yeah.
Probably.
That's not what you should say.
No, I know. But I think I don't know. No, I haven't. I definitely haven't. And she's gonna hear this now, so I'll have to do it before then.
Sorry, brother.
No, you're good. But I know the thing is, I know she would encourage me, but remember, it's not that other people don't believe in me. It's that I don't believe in myself. I know you believe in me. I know you believe in me. I have to see somebody do it. You know that about me. Show me what to do.
Well, you asked her to reach out to me when she was feeling discouraged at being paid at work.
Yeah.
And we had talks about that, and then she got this huge raise.
Right.
But I just believed in her and then helped her figure out
you're,
what to do.
But you're aware. Your awareness in terms of businesses and like influence. I think your awareness is higher. Where like if I just said I believe in you,
right.
Versus like tactical
how to
yeah,
do it.
I need tactics.
Oh, you need tactics.
You give me a
Gotcha.
list.
That's what it is.
I'll
Okay.
do it. You give me a list, I'll do it.
You need tactics.
So
like a script.
Got to get the dramatic reading
Okay.
ready.
Dramatic reading.
But I just want to make, and I know we went deep and we went all over the place here.
Fire.
But at the end of the day, that this would be my 10-second blip, even though it's going to be longer than that. Discouragement, fear, failure, pain, embarrassment, rejection, they will paint you a new shade, a new color. That color will stay on there until you paint it a different color. And that's with action, that's with reflection, that's with building belief, that's with getting around somebody who believes in you. But it's some form of action to prove to yourself that this is not forever, this is not finite, and it's not a failure. It's just it's feedback.
We'll do more for others than we'll ever do for ourselves. My aunt said this on the coaching call earlier this week. She said, Alan, you and Kevin, like she basically said at the beginning of my business, when I needed to do these cold calls, this type of stuff, I had mouths to feed. Like when someone's family's not gonna eat Thanksgiving dinner because you're not taking action, you'll do it. She said you'll do anything. So that's another huge thing. Think of the people you love most. Do it for them if you won't do it for you.
Necessity.
How
long is this reading?
Short. 1 second. As I close the book.
What? Oh, that's it?
Yep.
Hammer it.
All right. The dramatic reading. So this is from a book called The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. It's like huge. The Master Wealth Builder's Complete and Original Lesson Plan for Achieving Your Dreams. Napoleon Hill. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can read today.
I hope so.
I hope so. I am reminded, O king, and take this lesson to heart, that there is a wheel on which the affairs of men revolve, and its mechanism is such that it prevents any man from being always fortunate. What a wonderful lesson is wrapped up in those words, a lesson of hope and courage and promise. Who of us has not seen off days when everything seemed to go wrong? These are the days when we see only the flat side of the great wheel of life. Let us remember that the wheel is always turning. If it brings us sorrow today, it will bring us joy tomorrow. Life is a cycle of varying events, fortunes, and misfortunes. We cannot stop this wheel of fate from turning, but we can modify the misfortune it brings by remembering that good fortune will follow. Just as surely as night follows day, if we but keep faith with ourselves and earnestly and honestly do our best. In his greatest hours of trial, the immortal Lincoln's one of my favorite presidents,
Oh, yeah.
was heard often to say, and this, too, will soon pass. Folks, if you are in sorrow, in discouragement, in misfortune, that won't stay forever unless you let it. Use it as fuel to try to become a better human being, even if that just means have more compassion for people who are there.
And share it.
Right.
That's what we did today. It's interesting that we're talking about discouragement, and I was feeling a lot of that after the call, just because I had to do a lot of reflection of like, where are you screwing up? What could you be doing better? Where are you bottlenecking yourself?
Right.
And talking about it always helps.
Yeah.
Talking about it always helps. So it's important to be around people who understand and support you, and you can be vulnerable with.
Talking about it with the right people.
With the right people. Yeah, because
Right.
if you talk about it with the wrong people, you'll
You'll
get the wrong
more
answers.
discouragement.
You're going to get the wrong
Right.
answers. I'm genuinely glad we did this episode today, because I feel like I was able to put more of myself into it, because I have been feeling a little bit of that lately. Now, again, things are good. Like, I'm living a dream. I'm living the dream that I designed 3 years ago. So I should be more grateful and thankful for that. We talked about that in the last episode. But if you're there, I understand. I genuinely understand. And by becoming aware of the way you're feeling and then creating an action, even if it's the smallest action,
Right.
just start taking steps away from that discouragement towards something else, and just adapt as you go. Adapt and overcome, rinse and repeat. And if you need anybody, reach out to Alan or myself. But
Please do.
It's this journey, any journey that you're embarking upon is difficult. You will be discouraged. It's not the discouragement that matters. It's what you do with it.
Absolute fact. So if you're out there right now and you feel discouraged, realize that like even Kevin, who you see doing all these incredible things, who 2 years ago, 3 years ago, would never have been able to even fathom doing these things,
Right.
is now still dealing with discouragement. You're not alone. And if he can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And it's just understanding that own it. If you're discouraged, say, you know what? I'm discouraged, but now I'm going to do something about it. Do something different.
Do something different. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this. Up next, we have an episode with our new friend, Matt Staver,
Yes.
all the way from Florida. So he is a contemporary artist, but we went very deep into his past. So he was very successful. He lost it all. He became very successful again, lost it all again. And he had to dig into his psyche and figure out why he was repeating these behaviors over and over and over again. And now he is building affordable housing in the Florida area to try to help as many people as he can. He's an amazing guy with an amazing story, and that is going to be an ally for sure.
Yes, it is. Matt is amazing. He's a huge testament to when you're discouraged to go to those who love you most. Like his family, he attributes all of his success to, especially when he was discouraged. So that's a fire episode. Do not miss that.
We hope you will enjoy.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.